Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to let you know everything that you need to know about the M41D, which was just released on the European server. It's a brand new Tier 8 premium Chinese light tank, and it's definitely a heavier light vehicle that kind of bridges the gap between light and medium, and so any of you out there who want to play a light tank but like to do more of a damaging role than playing the pure scout role, this might be the vehicle for you. So before we get stuck into some gameplay, let's see how this Taiwanese version of an American classic sticks up to the original, and also compare it to probably one of the best Tier 8 premium light tanks that you can get, the M4190 Black Dog. Immediately you'll notice the M41D has a 76mm, which is the same as the best gun that you can use on the Bulldog. Now while the alpha damage pales compared to the 90mm that you can use on the Black Dog at 170 compared to 240, this vehicle actually has a penetration and a damage per minute advantage compared to the other two vehicles, and a tiny little bit better shell velocity. Interestingly, the M41D has standard APCR rounds and premium APCR rounds. Compare that to the M41 Bulldog, and it has heat rounds as its premium. Now this gives the M41D massively better shell velocity with its premium rounds at 1,433 compared to the 975 that you'll have with heat for the Bulldog, but of course remember the heat rounds don't have any shell drop off with regards to penetration, and the M41D will. But on the other hand, if you're looking for extra high penetration premium rounds, then that's where the Black Dog clearly has an advantage at 250mm of penetration, and it also has those fantastic high explosive rounds with 102mm of penetration and 320 alpha damage, which is practically double that of the standard ammunition on the M41D and also on the Black Dog. Sorry, I mean the Bulldog. Alright, now that we know that this Taiwanese tank packs some firepower, what about its gun handling? Well, lovely aim time, 1.5 seconds, the best accuracy in this comparison, the worst dispersion when moving, but the best dispersion when turning the turret. But unfortunately, the vehicle has one less degree of gun depression compared to the Bulldog, but one better degree of gun depression compared to the Black Dog. Now onto the mobility, and remember how I said this was one of the heavier light tanks? That's because it weighs 1.5 tons more than the other two vehicles, and it actually has a worse engine than the standard Bulldog, and it goes forwards and backwards slightly slower. Well, significantly slower compared to the Black Dog. On the other hand, interestingly enough, Wargaming seemed to have some completely hidden statistics that not even Tanks GG will showcase, because even though its power to weight ratio is massively better than that of the Black Dog, because its ground resistance is the same, its turret and track traverse is the same, it actually has the same traverse speed on all terrains. And so if you're looking for pure mobility and flexibility on a ridgeline, then you're going to be wanting to play the standard Bulldog and don't expect to be the fastest light tank around with the M41D. Alright, now on to armor, and there's not really much to cover here. All of these vehicles practically have nothing, and you're going to be overmatched by everything. Health-wise, 1,100 hit points, the same as the Black Dog and slightly more than the Bulldog. But view range, on the other hand, 390 meters, meaning that you've got 10 meters less than the other two vehicles, which can really hold you back for when you're trying to max out your view range and spot your opponents at decent distances, and especially well-concealed opponents at decent distances. And finally, a passing mention should be made to the 10% chance that this vehicle has to be set on fire when its engine is hit, which is way better than the Bulldog and the Black Dog, meaning that I would recommend dropping the fire extinguisher and either taking an extra repair kit, or if you fancy it, a premium consumable to boost your crew. And if you do that, you're actually going to have better view range than you would do on the other two tanks. But of course, not taking a fire extinguisher, you're going to be at risk of a full burnout. Obviously, one of the most exciting things about the M41D is it's the first Tier 8 Chinese premium light tank in the game. Of course, there is the Type 64 and the rather rare Type 62, but when you really want to make decent credits, let's be honest, you have to play at Tier 8. And so for any of you who are thinking about training up your WZ1321 crew, you'll be happy to know that the M41D has the perfect loadout for the Tier 10 Chinese light tank. And so your commander, your gunner, your driver, and your loader will fit in perfectly. But you know what? I think that's quite enough jibber jabber. Let's take it out for a spin on the battlefield. Alright, so here we go. We are assaulting on a brand new map which is called Ghost Town, and this map, it's been available inside the Rampage game mode previously. If you ever played any Clan Wars, I believe that this map has also been available for them. Now, one thing I'd like to highlight is that, as you might be seeing in kind of like the bottom of my bar right now, I have been a complete and utter muppet playing this tank. This was pretty much the first game I played in this vehicle, and I didn't even resupply consumables. Yeah, you can see I was maybe in a little bit of a rush to try and test out this vehicle. That's because Wargaming only gave me this tank on my account on Wednesday when 1.4 was released, because it actually went into the game files then and it wasn't in the game files before, so we weren't able to test it out. Alright, so Ghost Town, in my opinion, the best thing to do is to try and take either the north or the south flank, depending on where you spawn. If you can try and control these flanks, eventually you're going to be able to break through them, then you're going to be able to surround the town, and once you've surrounded the town, I feel like it's over. Alright, so when I was playing this vehicle, of course, there's a lot of French-wheeled light tanks around at the moment. I'm guilty of it myself. I played through from Tier 6 to Tier 8 yesterday on stream. I managed to ace the Tier 7 and the Tier 8, but oh, spoilers, probably shouldn't be talking about that, maybe I'll feature it later on. Okay, back towards the M41D, and you know what, I'm really not going to be showing too much gameplay of this vehicle, because frankly, it's a Bulldog. It's a Bulldog, there's not really too much different about it. It's got decent shell velocity, especially on its premium rounds, which is nice. It's slightly slower than the Bulldog. It's got a tiny bit better rate of fire than the Bulldog. It's got 10 meters less view range than the Bulldog. It's got 1 degree less gun depression than the Bulldog. To all intents and purposes, this is a premium Bulldog. Now that's pretty fun, because the Bulldog, at least back in the day, used to be one of my favorite vehicles to play around with. But I got a question. Is it really worth making the sacrifices of that view range and making the mobility sacrifices to gain a tiny little bit better gun handling and a little bit better rate of fire? Not so sure. I guess the penetration is useful. Because as we're going to see here, we're going to load premium rounds. And I have to admit, the premium rounds on this tank are really nice. It feels as if you're playing kind of a tier 10 medium tank right now with the shell velocity. It's one of my favorite hidden statistics. Well, not really hidden, they're inside the garage. You can find them on all of your different rounds. Is shell velocity. It's absolutely wonderful being able to pinpoint shots at fast-moving targets. And I guess if you're so inclined, you could auto-aim and just drive around like a madman in this vehicle and probably still hold down that mouse button and probably be able to hit without too much lead. Of course, if you have the chance to manually lead, or manually aim, I should say, you should definitely take it. You'd be an idiot not to. Alright, so we've broken through the northern flank. Ghost Town, I'm not sure how many times you guys have managed to get onto this map. I think I've managed to get on about 2 or 3 times, and whenever I've managed to break through one of the flanks, it seems to be pretty much over. But then again, when you look at it, the enemy team have managed to break through the south, so maybe they're going to be able to come around and defend their base, although they've really left it very open, and we've got 3 vehicles inside there. I'm just looking for the artillery myself, and there you go, there's one of them, and then one of them right on the left there, so I'm actually going to ram the AMX, but the AMX actually tracks me dead, so I'm unable to continue my momentum to take out that AMX 13F3, and I'm turning my attention to the Crusader, and this is why I'm pressing my 5 and my 4 key, because I usually have my medkit on my 5 key, even though if you can, I recommend learning to play this game with your repair kit on your 5 key, because then when you want to repair your tracks, you just press 5-5. For me, it's very awkward. I have to press 4-5, and sometimes your fingers can mess it up, right? But I have my med kit on my 5 key, and I'm trying to heal my driver, and I realize, oh, I can't heal my driver. I've been an absolute muppet this game. It doesn't really seem to be stopping us too much. As long as I keep going in a straight line, you don't really need a driver. Or at least when you're going up slope, a driver is very useful as well. And I just want to get revenge on that Crusader SP. Although, to be honest, the Crusader SP didn't actually hit me. It was just the AMX 13F3 that hit me. Alright, so I'm going to keep going forwards. He hits in the ridge line, so I'm going to stop to be able to aim at him here. And 170 alpha damage does mean that you can manage to shut down these tanks pretty quick. I think, shall I shoot the E25? Can't kill the E25 in a single shot, but I can kill the AMD 178B in a single shot on the enemy team. So we decide to shut them down, and I'm going to just leave the E25 for my friends. One thing that's a bit weird about this Ghost Town map is just how bizarre the cap circle is. Take a look at this. It's like a height differential on a cap circle. And so this Lynx is actually trying to find a position where he can shoot at the Jagdpanther. Oh! That didn't really work out. But the Lynx failed to manage to interrupt the cap anyway. The Lynx isn't going to die, but a victory for us here on Ghost Town in pretty much a kind of a run-of-the-mill kind of game for this tank. Alright, so to sum up about this tank, a lot of you will be asking now, is it worth it? Now, currently in the premium store, this tank costs £22.75. Is it worth it? I hate answering this question because that amount of money could go and buy you an entirely new game. And so if you've already got a bunch of premium tanks, I guess the only reason why you would want to get this one is if it can do something that your tanks currently can't. Okay, so for all of the drivers out there who have the Black Dog, is this tank revolutionary and much better? No, I wouldn't say so. I think the fact that the Black Dog can go faster forwards and backwards, and it has better view range, and it also has nice premium rounds as well as nice high explosive rounds. I'd say the Black Dog is just as competitive as the M41D, if not slightly preferable. So for the next set of people, somebody who wants to train up their Chinese light tanks, if any of you actually really do actively play them out there, and you've got yourself a Type 64, is the M41D basically a Tier 8 Type 64? Well, it kind of plays out like one. But the Type 64 is just a god of Tier 6 for a variety of other reasons. It has as much view range as the M41D has at Tier 8, but of course the Type 64 is at Tier 6, where everybody else's view range is much worse, and quite a few vehicles don't have quite as good camouflage because they don't have fully pimped out crews, and so the Type 64 can be a monster scout at low tier, unlike what the M41D can achieve at Tier 8. Next, I'd like to highlight that you'd probably be a little bit balmy to get the M41D when you could pick yourself an LT432, which is significantly faster, bounces vehicles left, right, and center, and has about a 10% concealment advantage. As well as, for some reason, even though it's ridiculously low profile, not even having that much less gun depression. Consequently, I can really only see the M41D being favorable for two niche markets. Number one, people looking to train up Chinese light tanks, or two, for some people who absolutely love the standard M41 Bulldog and want to have more gameplay like that can't get their hands on the M4190. All in all, I think the M41D is a nice release. It's the first Tier 8 Chinese premium light tank. It does enough to consider itself to be different to the other vehicles, and it's going to be by no means overpowered, which means that, all in all, I think this is a premium tank that's done right. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that is it for today. Hope you enjoyed this one. Maybe it was just useful to you. Let me know what you think about the M41D in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.